Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Hutco Roofing, HutcoRoofing.com. Restored Motion, it's RestoredMotions.com. And ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all. Tuesday, Cruising Award Game Week, LSU, Brian Kelly previewed the game on Monday, so we had the first Brian Kelly press conference. I would say the most notable takeaway, aside from the fact that Darren DeQuano, his chair broke as he was sitting in it during the press conference, and Brian Kelly made note of the fact that Leah Van wasn't there and her chair was empty. I think the most notable part of Brian Kelly's press conference was the stark contrast that he and many others made from a year ago at this time to now. And it is dramatically different. So there was a lot of obviously noteworthy things. Sage Ryan had a stinger, so he's back and 100%, and that's great. Armani Goodwin doubtful, Kimo Makaneoli questionable, Josh Williams probable for the game. Of course, we know Mason Smith's out, still dealing with the ankle injury a little bit. So, we are, other notables as far as newsy stuff. I did say Sage Ryan will continue playing corner and nickel. He'll play both. So that stuff. But mostly the big takeaway, I think, from Brian Kelly was just drawing a stark contrast. He even said a year ago at this time, we didn't know who our starting 5 offensive linemen were going to be against Florida State. Like Monday of game week, they hadn't settled on a starting 5. So now, and they've got their starting 5, and they know, those guys can go get reps together and work sort of in concert together. I mean, that's a big part of it. Talk about special teams, about how they are going to be. They should be dramatically better, to where special teams isn't just something they have to do. It becomes a real strength, and it should be. Mentioned the returners will be Caleb Jackson will be the on-ball, and Aaron Anderson will be the on-ball, and Caleb Jackson will be the off-ball. So, a couple of young, dynamic guys from Louisiana. Aaron Anderson will be your punt returner, which I think we all expected. So, let's see. Let's go. Getting close. And then today, of course, is cut down day in the NFL. So teams have to get to 53 today by 3 o'clock Central. So by the time we're starting AFR, that's the deadline for teams' roster cuts. So as of right now, excuse me, and it is 7:38 a.m. and there were some that kind of popped last night. So far, Nick Anderson, the linebacker from Tulane, Prince Emili, the defensive tackle. Those are the 2 that we kind of learned last night. Kwan Baker, by the way, former wide receiver draft pick, was a 7th round pick in 2021. Jake Vargas, one of the fullback who's kind of fighting Adam Prentice on the roster for a roster spot. So those are the ones that I've seen so far on social media. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that as the day goes along. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Y'all know the drill. Fire away. If you're on YouTube, please smash that like button. Subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. Hey, Matt Plavidal, good morning. Brian Penton, good morning. Yes, Russ Mitchell, Wednesday. Yes. Russ is back on Wednesday. Confirmed that with him last week. Larry Garner, good morning. Brooke Bordeaux, good morning. Flying out Friday ahead of the game. Can't come soon enough. All right, Brooke, y'all travel safe. I've said it many times. I'm going to be very interested to see how many LSU fans make the trip. I think a lot of people didn't make the bowl trip to Orlando in anticipation of this trip. So they said, look, I'm not going to go to Orlando for the bowl game against Purdue. I'm going to head there for the opener against Florida State. So I think LSU should be really well represented. I mean, if that stadium seats 65, 68,000, something like that. Obviously you would anticipate there would be a majority Florida State fans, just given the fact that it's in Florida, it's closer, it's drivable. A lot of Florida State fans in Orlando, no doubt. But, you got a lot of LSU fans in Florida as well. A lot of people willing to make that trip. So, especially Labor Day weekend, a lot of people don't have work on Monday, so you could watch game on Sunday, travel home on Monday. So, be interesting to see. Jesse Brown, good morning. Ricky Lambert, Hunter Broadhead, good morning. Let's see, Brad, what happened to the older reporter that used to always be at the press conference during the Les Miles era? Yeah, Ted Castillo is his name. Ted passed. I think maybe in the last year, Ted passed. So Ted was a long time reporter for The Advocate. He was really, really well known primarily for his prep coverage for many, many years. But Ted would, Ted's daughter would bring him to, Ted's a Catholic High alum, by the way. He's in the Grizzly Greats Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. Ted's daughter would bring him to the press conference. He's in a wheelchair all those years. So his daughter would bring him up to the press conference, and he would listen to Les, and he'd get the microphone every now and again and ask a question. Les was always very, very, very kind look, Ted was long since retired, so it could have very easily said, hey, this is only for working media, but obviously was very kind to them. Adam Fontenot, good morning. No Scone T yesterday. So T had to back out yesterday. We were supposed to start yesterday, but so I think Aaron Murray needed to record snaps earlier in the day, so he had to jet out, so we weren't able to record it. So we were looking for a day later this week, and I don't know that we have a time that we can make it work. So looking like we'll start Monday. Devin Johnson, good morning. Listen to Jimbo Fisher talk at a press conference might be the saddest thing I've ever watched. Guy goes in circles. I don't see how these kids buy in. Very depressing and bland. So I didn't see Jimbo's presser. I would also encourage you not to overreact to a press conference. There are some coaches that are like, they're super charismatic, almost like preachers, right? And they do really well. It doesn't mean they're great coaches or great leaders or anything like that. They're just charismatic. Some coaches try very hard to not say anything of substance in a press conference. Les Miles was that. It just talked in circles and never wanted to give anything away. Les was a really good coach. I mean, say what you will. The man won a lot of games for a lot of years, doing it his way. Flawed, yes, but he had a lot of strengths. So I would just listen. I'm not Devin. Like, I'm not sold on A&M this year. I've told you all that. I think they have real questions and a very difficult schedule. So I think they're at best an 8-4 football team. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they go 7-5. And if they're 7-5, I think they're firing Jimbo. So anyway, but I wouldn't overreact to a press conference, I guess is my point. Jamie Leday, Dale Broussard. What's the skinny regarding BitBoy? What do you mean? For those who don't know, BitBoy is a guy named Ben Anderson. I don't know if I have that right, Ben. Anyway, he's a crypto influencer. He has a huge YouTube channel. Did something happen with him? I don't know. Oh, he's fired from his own. Ben Armstrong. He's fired from his own company. Wow. I don't know what happened. Literally, that's the first I saw of it. I don't know how you could be fired from your own company. That's interesting. I don't know. I have no idea what happened. Let's see. Eric Hart, good morning. Bubba Smith, Rami Kasem, Kelly Gross, Michael Cook, Jared DeLucky, good morning. Missed you yesterday morning, attended the funeral of a brother firefighter. All good, Jerry. You know, when you can be here, that's awesome, but totally understand, man. That's a much more important thing to be at. So, condolences, man. Darren Reeves, good morning. Let's get ready to rumble. Go Tigers. Rami Kasem's going to the game. Okay, all right, we'll be out there. Alton Trahan, good morning. Alton, you've never told me if you say Trahan or Trahan. It's funny because I think most people from Louisiana would say Trahan. But I had a friend in high school, I still consider her a friend, but she went to Natchitoches Central, tennis player, Morgan Trahan is how she said it, Trahan. Then I know Ken Trahan down in New Orleans. Because Morgan, you said like a tray in your hand. But anyway, let me know. I'd rather call you by your name, how you pronounce it. Let's see, Taz, if Bond is better off rushing the passer, why the Saints keep trying to make him something he's not? Yeah, Taz, because the Saints don't play a 3-4. They play a 4-3. So, I mean, the edge rushers for the Saints are prototypical 4-3 defensive ends like Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson and Tano Passanio. They're not 3-4 outside linebackers, which is what Zach Bond is. So, it's why it was a perplexing draft pick when they made it. He's a really good edge rusher as a 3-4 outside linebacker. He just don't fit. It's like when the best example I can give you of this is the Kansas City Chiefs when they drafted Glenn Dorsey. Glenn Dorsey was a 4-3 defensive tackle. He was an interior defensive tackle. Well, as soon as they drafted Glenn Dorsey, they hired, was it Crennel? They brought in Romeo Crennel from the Chiefs or from the Patriots and hired their GM away from the Patriots, and they switched to a 3-4. Well, that made Glenn Dorsey a nose. Well, true nose tackles are dudes that are like Akeem Hicks, 6'4", 330. Well, Glenn Dorsey wasn't that. Glenn Dorsey was 6 foot, 6'1". He was a put him in the gap, stunt, disrupt, spin. Not a giant space eater in the zero technique over the center. So position matters. They did the same thing with Tyson Jackson. Tyson Jackson was a 4-3 defensive end, and they bulked him up and made him a 3-4 defensive end, which is basically just a space eater to consume blocks to allow those outside linebackers free run to go make plays. So they don't. The long way of saying, Taz, I guess the short way of saying it would be he doesn't fit their defense. Caleb Brignac, good morning. How effective do we truly expect Anderson to be in the return game? Well, I mean, Caleb, look, I thought Malik Neighbors was going to be awesome last year. I mean, that's a dynamic player. He just struggled to catch the ball, and they took him out. Aaron Anderson is really fun to watch, man. He has track speed. He will make you miss. Like, they are going, I'm telling you, you want a sort of a guaranteed prediction. Aaron Anderson will touch the ball against Florida State in all three phases. He will run the ball, he will catch the ball, and he will return a kick. He will touch the ball in all three phases. Let's see. Trivia Carter, good morning. Read rule, saw Cade York got cut. Why does it seem more often stud college kickers flame out in the NFL? No idea, Reed. Perplexing. I mean, Cade York is as talented a kicker, leg talent as you'll ever see. It's different in the NFL. Yeah, the hash marks are more narrow, so it changes the aim and the dynamic. But in theory, it should be easier because the hash marks are even with the goalpost. So in theory, if you just kick it straight, you should make it. In college, the hash marks are wider, right? So you have to have a little better aim. It's odd, definitely odd. Brian Wynn, good morning. Hey, Dad, good morning. Leon Williams, Weston Weaver, good morning. Wendell Norman, Jason H., still recovering from the ruptured meniscus. Did you have surgery on it, Jason? Are you having surgery? Did that a few years back, man. That was no fun. Cajun Country had no idea Colt McCoy was still in the NFL. Yeah. Cardinals released him yesterday. Yeah, let's see, why do you think someone like him stays around? Players like Cam Newton flame out. So I would tell you, Sean, that I would not say Cam Newton is a flame out. Cam Newton won an NFL MVP, went to a Super Bowl, and was as dominant a player at what he did in changing the game for a decade. A huge part of Cam Newton's game, though, was his ability to run the football. It just was. He was never the greatest pocket passer. That's not to say he was ineffective throwing the ball. I mean, look, he connected with Steve Smith a ton, right? They had some really good teams. But a big part of Cam's game was his ability, was the threat of him running the ball. Let's see. As a rookie, threw for 4,000 yards, which was his highest passing total of his career. But he threw for, his MVP season, he threw for 38, 37, and ran for ran for 636 and 10 touchdowns. So ran for 10 touchdowns and threw for 35. So this guy counted for 45 touchdowns in his MVP season. So I guess the point is, like, you might be asking, so, like, why didn't Cam Newton, why wasn't he able to, like, stick around as a backup? Not everybody wants to be a backup. I mean, Cam wanted to be a starter. So remember, he went to, after Carolina dumped him, he went to New England and started 15 games in New England that year, and their offense stunk. And then they drafted Mac Jones. He went back to Carolina for a brief stint in 2021 and didn't get a job after that. He's just not the same player. And not everybody wants to hold a clipboard and be a backup. Some guys are like Chase Daniel are more than happy playing that role and being a career NFL backup. Luke McCown or Josh McCown. Luke McCown. Josh McCown. One of them. Eric Hart wouldn't be a normal lead up to week 1 without a hurricane in the Gulf. Seems that way, huh? Lowell Cormier, Jeremy Sagely, good morning. Looks like Kayshawn made the roster for the Patriots. Lowell, I think it would have been an upset if he didn't. Kayshawn was when he's right, he's an easy first-round talent. Bizarre. What caused his drop in the draft? I don't know, but they got a first-round talent in round 6. He's going to make the team. Ronnie Duga, good morning. Let's see, I'll smash that like button if you would on YouTube. Please subscribe up to the channel if you're new. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Deborah Coward, good morning. Taylor Hudson, you're on day 2033 in a row of Morning Scone. How many days in a row has Papa Scone been watching? I don't know, a lot of them, man. Let's see, Matt. Russ going to run the kid like a rented step-headed mule. I'm looking forward to it, yeah. Scott McClendon, who broke the chair yesterday? It was Darren DeQuano. So if you were listening to Brian, so Darren is a longtime videographer for WAFB. He's a great dude. By the way, Darren weighs like 180 pounds. It ain't like Darren, some massive dude who put too much pressure on the seat. He was just sitting in a chair that was clearly that had better days. So if you're watching or listening to the Brian Kelly presser, Cobble asked a question about Jaden Daniels or something, and Brian Kelly's starting to answer it, and you hear boom, and he looks, and Brian Kelly's like, "You broke the chair. That's $20." Like, anyway, I posted the clip. It was funny, but and then Gilbo, you can hear him off mic, says, "Man, mixing a salad," and that's when Brian Kelly goes, "Oh, geez, throwing stones." And then DeQuano's like, "It's unbelievable, man. Some of these sports writers basically talking about how there's some large men that are sports writers who didn't break the chair, and here's diminutive Darren DeQuano who did." It did. It was funny. Anyway, Tara Walker, good morning from Millington, Tennessee. Active duty Navy. All right. Thank you for your service. But a West Bank boy, born and raised. Okay. John Arrett alum. Go Tigers. Been talking cold-blooded trash to the other SEC fans. I love it. That's awesome, dude. Benia 420, what up? You invested in crypto? Yeah, I have a lot of crypto. Let's see. Bayless, he tried to buy Gamecoin, got lost in the process. If you go to the website, there's a pretty, there are step-by-step videos of how to buy. Once you get it, though, it's easy. It's just taking the time to learn how to do it. Let's see. Do you feel strong about an LSU win this Sunday? 70-30. I think LSU's the better team. I think it's a close game. I think Florida State's certainly capable of winning the game. But I think LSU is the more talented team. I think both teams have really good quarterbacks. Both teams return a ton of talent. I would not be surprised if Florida State wins a close one, and I would not be surprised if LSU wins by 10. Let's see, Wacky Chris. Good morning, Matt. Any guesses who'll be on the broadcast for LSU Florida State? No, it's we already know it. It's Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit are doing the call on ABC. Bradley and Graffia. Good morning, Don Teco. Why do you think we're having a hard time recruiting, developing top cornerbacks like we used to? I think, Don, that wasn't a problem until Eli Ricks and Dwight McGlothern transferred, because they were sophomores in 21, and had they stayed, you would have had a junior corner tandem last year of Eli Ricks and Dwight McGlothern, and you don't have to go ham in the transfer portal 2 consecutive years while you build up your young talent behind them. So they're coming. It's just waiting for some of the young guys to develop into veteran players and starters. Yeah, Bradley, they're not moving the game. All accounts are that storm should make landfall Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. It'll be out to sea in the Atlantic by Thursday, and there's plenty of time to be ready to play the game. By the way, and the storm is projected far north of Orlando as well, so I don't think that there's any problem. Rob Joyner, did you name a winner of the Garth contest? We have not, Rob. The Mockler people should be giving me the names today, so we'll announce the winner. So if you entered, Rob, did you enter the contest? I'm curious, because I didn't see any of the entries. I guess like all the Mockler people saw them or whatever, but I didn't get to see the entries. So I'm curious if you entered. Got it. Okay, Jason, you had surgery Thursday. Well, dude, ice your knee, stay off of it, do your PT as well. Do your PT. Brian Ashcraft, the hardest putt is a straight putt. I kind of disagree with that. I'd much rather straight putt than a winding, bending putt. Oh, man, it's 7:58. All right, I got to get going. Who would you bet on to lead LSU in rushing Sunday night? Yeah, not Daniels. Logan Diggs. It's probably Josh Williams, but I don't know if he's 100% healthy. Thomas Lamont, been so focused on football, I finally saw Braden Montgomery went to A&M. Yep. Brian Wynn, who starts at running back for the Tigers on Sunday? My guess is that'll be Josh Williams. I'm just curious how healthy he'll be. Robert Collins, good morning. Where do you rank Matt Flynn's LSU career? Well, he was a quarterback that won the national championship, so it's up there, but he was only a starter for 1 year. So cumulatively, not the best, but I don't know how you ignore. He was quarterback that won a national championship and was the MVP of the national championship game. So he's on the short list in the conversation. After a top tier, which is Burrow, Burt Jones, Tommy Hodson, Jamarcus Rohan. I think that's kind of where the list begins. And then whatever that next tier is, I think Flynn's right there. Irfan Sayad. Okay, Rob. Man, Rob, I gotta go. I gotta look for your video then, man. Where did you post it, Rob? I'm curious. Tell me, because I want to go. I'm really curious. I'd like to go see him. All right. I think we're done, y'all. All right, it's 8 o'clock. I gotta go. Okay. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have an awesome day. YouTube, please smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. LSU Daily's already live. Y'all check it out. And AFR3. We'll see you. Peace.